Now available in paperback and Kindle Unlimited. Esteem a New Woman. The devilish diva starts on the road to becoming a new creature in Christ in this all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem a New Woman at Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle Unlimited today. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, because we're having us a barbecue.
CBS says its late-night deal with Byron Allen to replace Stephen Colbert will generate them $15 million in profit. The lies white folks tell themselves are funnier than Colbert. Now, according to reports, executives at Paramount Skydance, the owner of CBS, are saying that by going out and canceling the Stephen Colbert show, which they claim was too expensive, and allowing Byron Allen to pay for the time slot, they are going to make $15 million in profit. Now, this whole statement in and of itself basically is Paramount Skydance looking to go out here and try to spin this whole story regarding the cancellation of Stephen Colbert, who many are speculating was only canceled because the owners, Larry and David Ellison, basically are Trump supporters, and they don't like anybody going out here and making fun of the orange man on their network. And as they look to try to spin a story about Byron Allen buying this time slot as profitable, what they're really looking to do is something Professor Black Truth has said in many of his videos about white supremacists looking to conjure magic, and what the spell they want to cast is that this deal in and of itself will be profitable for CBS. Now, as someone who has studied the entertainment industry for over 25 years, these two computer nerds can't pull the wool over my eyes regarding this really boneheaded deal that they made with Byron Allen, who basically went out here and spent money to enter his slave master's burning house. Now, when it comes down to television basically these days has lost 50% of its audience, primarily to streaming, and usually with TV these days, the only people watching TV these days are people in the 50 to dead demographic, and most of the young people are not even watching TV. I mean, I looked at the ratings for Stephen Colbert's show, which basically were at a point where they said that the final show had about 6.7 million viewers. Now, when I look at ratings for other shows like Jay Leno and Johnny Carson, and even David Letterman, they were 3 times that number. And the ratings basically on TV have dropped over the last couple of years due to several boneheaded deals that we've made in our government. One was the looking to make TV go digital in 2009, where we basically took people away from the analog signals that kept people watching television. And as people were told they could no longer use their old televisions, what they did was not look to go out here and buy those new HD TVs the wealthy thought they were going to do. No, they mostly migrated over to the internet. And as they migrated over to the internet, TV started losing its audience, even though it had gone out here and gained a whole bunch of sub-channels, which further fragmented the audience. And as TV lost more and more of its audience due to the internet and platforms like YouTube and platforms like streaming, what happened with many of these TV networks is we went from the big 3 going out here dominating to the big 3 going in decline. And as the big 3 have been going in decline, as related to their influence, we've seen many of those in media looking to go out here and try to salvage what's left. And what's happening here with Larry and David Ellison is that they're trying to salvage what they know is a bad situation for their network. And they know that it's a bad situation to go from having your own late night show like one from Stephen Colbert to going out here and canceling that show, replacing it with Comics Unleashed, a program that came on later at night that nobody really cared about. And it's shown in the ratings where after the cancellation of Stephen Colbert, Comics Unleashed came on, and we went from 6 million viewers for the finale to 885,000 for that entire time slot that Byron Allen paid for, an 85% drop in the ratings. And let me tell you, for a broadcast network, for a show to get 885,000 viewers, that's really embarrassing for a prime time slot. And if we were in the days of the networks of the 1980s, this show would have been canceled within less than a day because this show would not have generated enough ratings or enough viewers in order to even consider the value of building the ad revenue for that slot. And CBS wants to try to go out here and cast a spell on people by saying, oh, we were making 15 million in profit. And I call bullshit on that as someone, again, who has studied this entertainment industry, because that 15 million basically comes from Byron Allen buying the time slot, but that time slot had higher value as related to competing with Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon. When you look at the ad rates for that time slot at 11:35, that time slot was a big money time slot worth more than $15 million overall. The ad rates on that slot, in its prime, you would make more than $15 million. You would make probably 30, 40, even $50 million for a quarter on that time slot. And what Larry and David Ellison are basically doing is cutting off their nose to spite their face in order to go out here and protect the institution of white supremacy by using this black bootleg Byron Allen, who thinks he's got the deal of the century. And Byron Allen sitting up there thinking, oh, I bought this time slot. I bought this time slot that I thought was going to be big in the master's burning house. And as he's bought this time slot, he's thinking he's going to go out here and be able to make money on the ad dollars for the time slot. But most advertisers who really are serious, they're not thinking about putting their ads on no Comics Unleashed, because with an 885,000 viewers for a country of 300 million people, nobody's watching your ads, and your ad rate basically is less than one of these YouTube channels like mine. So you can't say that your ad space has a value, because your ad space don't have a value if you only get 885,000 viewers in a country of 300 million people. Because if you were to have a time slot and the slot was getting 20 million viewers, 30 million viewers, you could say, okay, this was a good deal. But this was one of those deals that was rooted in racism and rooted in basically them looking to find a black male patsy in Byron Allen, who is thinking, again, like I said before, he got this great deal, but because he's playing Candyland on a chessboard, he can't see how he's being finessed by a pair of novice computer nerds who show us that they know nothing about the business of television. And as they show us they know nothing about the business of television, they went out here and looked to destroy Stephen Colbert, not understanding you just shot yourself in the foot as related to the media empire that you're making, that's basically crumbling under your feet. Because what's happening to the Ellisons, yeah, they went out here and bought Paramount with their Skydance institution. They've gone out here and bought Warner Brothers, but they know nothing about the business of entertainment. And as they think they can control everybody's image because they own all of this media, they don't know what they've gone and done is buy the master's burning house from another slave plantation owner, and they've gone out here and bought a bad business because you bought into a whole host of old media that was a bunch of depreciating assets. And as you've gone out here and bought all these old depreciating assets out here from media that was made in the 20th century, what is happening is that the smart guys, like the guys who own Tubi, I believe his name is Rupert Murdoch, he basically understood, okay, you want to buy all this old Fox junk, and he sold all those old Fox assets, knowing that they were depreciating assets, and he went out here and bought Tubi, and was smart enough to go out here and be able to lease the content that goes on Tubi and get the ad dollars from that content. He was already ahead of the game, but these Ellisons, they are not ahead of the game, and Byron Allen is so far behind in the entertainment game. He doesn't see that he's bought into a burning house. Yeah, he pays like, I think, $200 million for this time slot, but that time slot in and of itself over time was worth more than $200 million had you had a top program like Stephen Colbert on. But the Ellisons basically lowered the value of that time slot to less than $5 a food stamp without the book by going out here and looking to spite those leftists and those people who make fun of the Orange Man. And they used the guy Byron Allen as a pawn in their whole game. And now that they know that they've completely fucked up here, what they look to do is go out and do what many white supremacists do, and that is try to conjure magic and make us believe something that as true that we know isn't true. We all know that when it comes to this deal, CBS has lost a bunch of money by going out here and one, you cancel Stephen Colbert, you canceled one of the few people who are drawing to your network. Then you go out here and you have nothing to replace this show with of a equal value. You have a show that's dropping in the ratings and dropped 85% because ain't nobody caring about no Comics Unleashed at all. And Byron Allen thinking he gonna make some money when he's not gonna make no money at all on this deal, but be seen as the wannabe bootlick who's just out here scavenging for leftovers, like just when he bought one of these websites called BuzzFeed, a website that was on its way to bankruptcy. He went out here and scavenged that up like he did with the Weather Channel. He's trying to be a media mogul, but don't know how to move like no mogul. No, this wannabe knockoff Temu Ted Turner thinking he's some sort of media mogul on an obsolete platform that his masters basically are starting to abandon, like Rupert Murdoch did. Rupert Murdoch was the smartest man in the game as related to things, because he understood at least, look, all these Fox assets, these are depreciating assets. I'll get rid of those, get me a Tubi platform, and then make the money the way Netflix does by going out here and selling the ads. And that racist is ahead of the game, but these racists, these computer nerd racists, they thinking they gonna be able to say, oh, we own all the media, but all you own is a crumbling empire, a burning house. And what's the saddest part is Byron Allen bought into the burning house like a dutiful slave and thought, oh, if I go and buy into Master's burning house as related to his obsolete media platforms, I'll be able to build an audience. Well, how you going to build an audience on a platform that the young are not watching? Critical question I'd like to ask Byron Allen. I mean, the demographics for television are the 50 to dead crowd, and many of the networks these days, the median audience is in their 50s, because nobody watches TV except older people, and most older people are the only ones watching this media. But this guy is sitting here thinking, oh, I got myself a media empire. No, you've got an empire built on sinking sand and an empire built in a burning house. And that's what Byron Allen has as related to this whole disaster. And it's just hilarious to watch him believe in this magic that the white supremacists are trying to conjure, saying, oh, we've got a great success, when we see them failing in front of us. We see them failing in front of us and failing in real time, because if you've got to tell me you're going to make such a meager offering on a time slot like 11:35, you can run that bullshit on these people who don't know. But as someone who does know the business, I know that you're going to make that if you had the right show, you could make way more than $15 million on that slot. Because when Johnny Carson was on, NBC was making a mint on that slot. Jay Leno, when was on, they was making a mint on that slot. And Jimmy Kimmel was making so much money, they replaced Ted Koppel's Nightline with Jimmy Kimmel. So I know the value of that slot. And I know when somebody like these Ellisons go out here and look to cancel Colbert for spite, they basically think, oh, I've got endless money because I'm a billionaire. But you don't understand, every asset you buy that depreciates is going to be costing you money, cost you money to maintain all these different studio platforms. And you're going to be costing yourself money by hiring incompetents like Barry Weiss to run CBS into the ground, and as related to the news division. And when it comes down to CBS, I see it heading down the road that the Dumont network was on, because when you got two computer nerd racists running a company, what they're going to do is not care, look to go out here and create content to be able to appeal to everyone, because they think they can control everyone. And what's going to happen with them is that they're going to think, oh, I've got this great empire, I've got all this influence over people, but the people will just migrate to another platform like they did in 2009 when TV decided to go digital. And as TV went digital, people just decided to go to the internet and get their content from there. And as they got their content from the internet, it became harder for people like the Ellisons to conjure magic and make us believe something that was not true. Because in the case of Byron Allen, there's no money to be made on this deal. It's a loser of a deal that was completely boneheaded and done basically out of spite by some people who think they're going to go on forever, not understanding they've basically started the end of media in Hollywood and the complete collapse of Hollywood with their greed, with their pettiness, and they're not looking to entertain, but looking to try to control people. And when you try to control everything slips through your fingers. That's what the computer nerd doesn't understand. That was presented in an episode of The Simpsons where Martin Prince got a pool to try to go out here and compete with Bart and his family. And eventually, he had all the friends for a minute, and they were only interested in his pool. And after his pool broke, he was completely humiliated. And sadly, that lesson flies over the head of many in the wealthy who want to once again conjure this magic, but don't see that their spell has no effect on the public, who look at Byron Allen and see him as the clown he actually is, and the court jester who's made to be the laughingstock of a cruel joke that he doesn't see he's the punchline of as related to doing business in the entertainment industry. Now, if you want to read my story about the struggle of black actresses in Hollywood, you can pick up my screenplay, All About Marilyn, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And you can pick up my TV series that I once wrote called All About Nikki the Fabulous first season on Amazon.com as well, because it's a companion All About Marilyn. And you can find both of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And you can also find many of the other books on the SJS Direct imprint on Amazon.com, like the ISIS series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, and the Spinsterella series, and my vampire novel, Eternal Night, and my black sorority novel, The Fadas. You can find all of these books on Amazon.com, and you can also find them at other online booksellers like Draft Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to see me make more videos taking the entertainment industry to the barbecue, you can drop a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, An Offer He Can't Refuse. The man who rules the world gets a job offer he can't refuse in this action-packed all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes, An Offer He Can't Refuse at Amazon.com and other online booksellers. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Runway of Doom. The goddess next door struts her stuff on the catwalk to take on a runway of rogues in this action-packed all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Runway of Doom at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.